She's so quiet, I forget she's even here half the time. Honestly, if she disappeared tomorrow, no one would even notice. They laughed. Loud and unfiltered. My husband included. His mother wiped a tear of joy from her cheek as his brother doubled over, clutching his stomach like he'd just dropped the punchline of the year. And I just stood there, hot dog in hand, ketchup trembling, breath caught in the back of my throat. HY everyone. My name is Emery, and I'm 31. I don't usually take center stage at family events. But when the joke was about me, and no one defended me, something in me didn't just crack. It evaporated. Challenge accepted, I whispered, raising my hot dog like a glass of champagne. No one heard it. But I did. And it echoed through my ribs like a funeral bell. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I watched as they licked barbecue sauce from their fingers and asked for more ribs. I heard the shuffle of lawn chairs and the fizz of soda cans popping open. No one looked back at me. Not even my husband. I realized then, they'd already written me out of their lives. I was background noise. Convenient silence. A placeholder in photos. So I made a decision. That night, while he snored, belly full of beer and burned meat, I packed a single suitcase. I didn't slam drawers. I didn't leave a note. I just folded what little I owned, the parts of me that hadn't been consumed by them, and walked out the front door barefoot. The pavement was still warm. The air smelled like ash and forgotten laughter. And for the first time in years, I felt real. Not loved. Not missed. But real. I disappeared. Completely. And the woman who vanished that night? She was not the woman who would return. I didn't go far. But I made it feel like I had. I rented a one-room studio apartment above a flower shop 3 towns over. The landlady thought I was a painter. I let her believe that. Every morning, the scent of lilies and damp earth climbed through the floorboards and settled into my hair. I let it replace the smell of burnt burgers and beer breath. I changed my number. Deleted my social media. Filed a change of name request that same month. Nothing legal, just the signature on my mailbox. I went from Emery Hall to Emery Hart. It felt sharper. Cleaner. Like a woman who'd been to war. I worked odd jobs, mostly night shifts at diners, delivery apps, pet sitting for rich women who never came home on time. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. Every single dollar was untouched by him. That made each one sacred. The first month, I'd wake up in a cold sweat expecting to hear his voice. The second month, I stopped checking my email. By the third month, silence became my closest friend. And still, no one looked for me. No calls. No flyers. No dramatic family emails. Just nothing. So I started therapy. Not the soft kind. The gut punch kind, where you look in the mirror and admit you let people laugh at you for too long. I cried once, in session 6, when my therapist asked me, "When's the last time someone called you essential?" I couldn't remember. So I became essential to myself. I stopped dressing for invisibility. I wore red lipstick to the corner store just to feel loud. I took myself to dinner. I danced in my kitchen at 2 a.m. in mismatched pajamas and called it healing. And the woman I became in that tiny flower-scented apartment? She was learning how to bloom through concrete. Because while they were forgetting me, I was finally becoming unforgettable. By month 4, I didn't flinch at my reflection anymore. I was changing, not just on the outside, but in the way I walked into rooms. No more apologizing with my posture. No more shrinking to fit inside someone else's comfort. I enrolled in a community college course on digital design, something I'd once mentioned wanting to do, only for my husband to laugh and say, "That's cute. But who's going to cook?" Now? I cooked when I wanted. I designed websites for small businesses at night. And people paid me for my ideas. The silence from my old life grew louder. Curiosity eventually crept in. One rainy Tuesday, I made the mistake of Googling him. There he was, smiling at another barbecue. Same backyard. Same brother. Same jokes, judging by the caption under a group photo. Family game night, but we still can't find Emery's smiling face with open mouth and cold sweat. It wasn't grief. It wasn't longing. It was mockery. And that stung worse than being forgotten. So I closed the tab, turned off the light, and sat in the dark for 10 full minutes, Not crying, not raging, just letting the numbness settle like fog in my bones. Then I whispered, okay. Not out of defeat, but declaration. If they wanted me to be invisible, I'd let them taste the bitterness of absence. Real absence. The kind that makes the air feel heavier when your name isn't spoken. That night, I started keeping a journal. Page 1, I am not a ghost. I am a woman reborn in silence. Page 2, you laughed at my exit. I'm building my return. Each word was a brick in the foundation of my comeback. Because disappearing wasn't the end of me. It was my training ground. And when the time came, I wouldn't need revenge through chaos. I'd let my peace haunt them. The florist downstairs, May, was the first to notice the shift in me. You walk different, she said one morning, handing me a lavender bundle I didn't ask for. Like a woman who finally put down her chains. I smiled, not denying it. By month 6, my freelance design work had grown into something stable. Clients recommended me. One even offered me a contract with her boutique clothing line. She said my minimalism felt like breathing. It felt like purpose. With my new income, I upgraded apartments. Just one neighborhood over, but it had a window seat that caught the golden hour in the most dramatic, almost cinematic way. I filled it with plants, living things. I was surrounded by life now. But there were still shadows. Sometimes I'd hear someone laugh, deep, guttural, familiar, and my stomach would knot. A ringtone that sounded like his. The smell of charcoal on weekends. Triggers, everywhere. But they no longer had power over me. They were just smoke, and I was fireproof. On my birthday, the first one I celebrated alone, I bought myself a gold ring. No diamonds, no flashy stone. Just one word engraved inside, enough. It wasn't a reminder of pain. It was a quiet vow, I'd never beg to be seen again. But as the year turned, and I stood taller in my solitude, something strange began to happen. I started dreaming of them. Not nightmares, just scenes. Flashbacks. His brother laughing. His mother whispering about how I never quite fit in. My husband, eyes glazed over, scrolling his phone while I talked. I woke up from those dreams calm. Cold. Not because I missed them, but because I knew what I was about to do. I was going back. Not to ask for a seat, but to flip the entire table they once forced me to eat under. I planned my return like a heist. Not because I needed revenge, but because I needed precision. They would not see me coming. And when they did, they wouldn't recognize the woman they once dismissed like dust on a picnic table. First, I reactivated an old email. Just enough to let the digital world know I existed again. Within days, LinkedIn pings started trickling in. 2 former co-workers. 1 old friend. And then, a message from my husband's sister. Is this really you? I didn't reply. Instead, I watched as curiosity turned into quiet panic. 2 more messages. A friend request. Then one from his mother, her profile still decorated in summer barbecue photos and Bible verses. Her message was short. We've been so worried. Please let us know you're okay. Now they remembered. The family that once said I could vanish and no one would care, was searching the corners of the internet for echoes of me. And I wasn't done. Through a mutual contact, I found out the truth. They thought I'd had a breakdown. Some said I joined a cult. One rumor claimed I'd run off to Italy with a married man. The truth was simpler. I had healed, quietly, privately, entirely. And now I had the power of absence behind me. So I mailed one thing. A single envelope. Inside, a glossy invitation. No return address. Just a place, a time, and a name. The Emery Heart Collection, grand opening. A design showcase. My work. My brand. My name reborn. Date? Exactly 1 year from the night I vanished. I didn't expect them to come. But they did. Because people always show up when they think they've been left out of the ending. The gallery wasn't extravagant, just a clean industrial space with white walls, soft jazz, and curated lighting that made everything look intentional. Because it was. Each design on the walls, website layouts, brand mock-ups, clothing concepts, was stamped with one subtle watermark in the corner. Heart Studio. Not Hall. Heart. The woman they never noticed had evolved into someone worth attending. I stood behind a white podium near the back, wearing a simple black dress and a smile that didn't beg to be liked. People mingled. Photographers snapped. And then I saw them. My husband. His brother. Their mother, clutching her purse like a shield. They looked smaller in person, like characters from a story I once read too many times. They didn't recognize me at first. The haircut. The posture. The stillness. But then our eyes met, and I saw it. That flicker of disbelief. The silent scrambling for explanation. He walked up slowly. Emery. I raised my champagne glass like I had at the barbecue. Funny, you noticed. His brother opened his mouth, probably searching for another joke, but nothing came. Not when my name was printed across every wall. Not when my work was being praised by strangers. Not when he realized I hadn't just disappeared, I'd rebuilt in silence. His mother tried to smile. We had no idea you were doing all this. Of course not, I replied. You never asked. They didn't know whether to hug me or apologize. They didn't realize I wasn't here for either. I was here to let them witness it. To feel the absence they once joked about, now dressed in success, independence, and poise. And as they stood awkwardly among strangers who admired me, I finally understood the most poetic kind of revenge. Becoming unforgettable to the people who once pretended you didn't exist. They lingered longer than I expected. My husband followed me with his eyes the entire evening, like he was trying to memorize a woman he never took the time to learn. His brother sipped wine too fast, cheeks flushed with something that wasn't alcohol. And their mother? She hovered near a painting of mine titled Vanishing Point. She didn't understand it, but she felt it. That was enough. After the crowd thinned and the press left, I slipped into the back room where my coat hung, heart steady. But the door creaked open behind me. It was him. I didn't know you could do all this, he said softly, looking around like the walls themselves were betraying his memory of me. That's because you never looked at me long enough to wonder what I was capable of, I said, not cruel, just honest. He stepped forward. I thought you were gone. I was. His hand reached toward mine, foolishly gentle. Can we talk? I stared at it. That hand. The one that used to rest on my shoulder at family dinners, not to comfort, but to silence. I took a step back. Talk about what? I asked. How you laughed when your brother said no one would notice if I disappeared. Or how you never once asked where I went. I missed you, he said. No, I replied. You missed the convenience of me. He didn't fight it. Just stood there, a man who finally realized the cost of indifference. And it wasn't rage I felt. It was release. You taught me something, I whispered. You all did. He tilted his head. That disappearing isn't a weakness. It's a choice. And I chose peace. And just like that, I walked past him. Out of the room. Out of the gallery. Out of that version of me he thought still needed closure. The next morning, I sat in my favorite cafe, the one with the chipped blue mugs and jazz playing just loud enough to fill the quiet. Across from me sat May, the florist. She'd come to the opening last night with flowers I didn't ask for but needed more than anything. Dailies, her favorite. Mine, too, now. So, she said, stirring her tea, was it worth it? I didn't answer right away. Because revenge isn't loud. It doesn't always scream across dinner tables or storm out with suitcases. Sometimes, it's as soft as peace. As quiet as a locked door never reopened. They came, I finally said. All of them. And, she asked. And I didn't feel small. That was the victory. Not the success. Not the name on the walls. But the stillness inside me when I saw their faces. The absence of rage. The presence of self. I'd thought for so long that I needed them to understand. To apologize. To beg. But what I needed was to become a woman who didn't need any of that. Later that afternoon, I received a voicemail from his mother. A trembling voice. We made mistakes. I'm sorry. We should have seen you. I didn't save it. I didn't delete it either. I just let it sit there, a tiny relic of their realization. Proof that silence is its own kind of scream. I walked home alone. No heavy heart. No ghost in my chest. Just footsteps on pavement that once carried my escape, now carrying my return. In the window of my studio sat the gold ring I bought myself. Enough. I slid it onto my finger and smiled. Not because I won, but because I didn't need to lose myself to make a point. They had forgotten me once. Now, they will never forget the day I reminded them who I am.